Hello everyone, I'm Jaha Zainabu and this is Storytime with Jaha Zainabu 39. So 39/365. So I'm going to jump in today because I have a lot that I am reading to you. I'm reading to you my collection of stories called Playground Politics, and then if there's time, I'm going to go into another collection. So we're going to start with Playground Politics. Playground Politics is a collection of stories that these are all true. Some of the names and only some of the names. Some of the names have been changed, but the situations are true. And it's a journal that it's like stories that I wrote when I started back in 2009. And they are written, so I wrote them in 2009, but I wrote them in the voice of like a fourth grader, third grader. So I'm going to jump in. Playground Politics. My life. My life is really, really cool, and it's fun to be me sometimes. What is cool about me is that sometimes I am the tallest person in my class. So the kids pick me on their team to play kickball, even though I can't kick that far. Tammy can kick farther than me, but they don't pick her because she is fat and mean. It's not bad that she is fat because people cannot help it if they eat too much, but she don't have to be mean to people, especially people that don't be mean to her. But anyways, my hair is longer than some of the other black girls at my school, but not all of them. The Japanese girls think I'm cool, but I'm not, though. I have a little sister, and I even like her a lot. One day, I am going to be a famous writer. And if I have time, then I might be a model, an actress, and lawyer. I am also going to work at JCPenney because they have cute clothes and makeup too. I'm going to give my mom a lot of clothes. She is pretty. Anyways, when I am a famous writer, I'm going to write a letter to the President of the United States of America and tell him that black people have rights too, and not to be mean to black people because we used to be slaves like Unroots, but we are not anymore. My uncle knows all about everything about black people, and he told me. I like to get letters from him. He is in jail and he writes me a lot. He is not bad. He is fun. My dad is fun too, and he is not in jail. When I am big, I am going to be rich. And when I march around in the church to put money in the offering, I am going to be up there a long time because I have more money than they do. I sing in the little kids choir at church, but I do not sing loud. I sing soft because the other kids can sing better than I do. But I can run faster than them, so it's okay. None of them can sing better than my Aunt Janice. She can sing better than anybody, and my mom can usher better than anybody. And my grandmother has the most fire stick candy than any of the old ladies at my church. I don't have a boyfriend, but one day I will. Sometimes I think I am not cute, and sometimes I think I am. They say that Donna P. is the cutest girl in the school, but she is not taller than me. I think she can run faster than me, so I don't race her. I have the best writing in class. One of these days, when I am like 20 years old or something, I am going to travel around the whole entire world and write a famous book about it. Everybody in class is going to remember me, and the boys are going to wish they were my boyfriend, but too bad for them because I will be married already to somebody who is cuter than them and has a faster car and is nicer too. My husband is going to hold my hand when we go to church and to the movies. I don't have to give him a kiss if I don't want to. He won't be mad. He will be lucky. I will tell my daughter not to be kissing boys at the park like Lisa used to. She wasn't fast. She just liked to kiss, but not me. I don't like other people's germs because I might be a doctor one day, and I can't have germs. I don't think I'm going to have a bunch of kids like my grandmother did. Maybe just a boy and a girl, and they can travel around the world with me, and my husband can come too, but he might have to work construction. I will take pictures of the world for him. He will be so lucky. When I finish eating my food and writing this famous story about my life, then I am going to go to cheerleading practice. I am not the best one on the team, but I can run faster than all of the girls except for two of them, but my hair is longer than those two girls, so it's okay. Being a cheerleader is not as important as being a famous writer anyways. Maybe I won't let my daughter be a cheerleader. She needs to be practicing her cursive writing anyway. Sunday, I'm going to give a speech at church, and I hope I don't mess up. The boys at my church don't think I am cute, but that is okay because they are not either. If I can have anything I want, I will probably pick to be able to sing real good and not to be scared of anything. There is a lot to write about me, but I'm not going to tell you everything because I don't know you. Doing hair. If you are big and your sister is little, then you have to do her hair because your mother have to go to work because that is important. If your sister wants her hair in 2 French braids down the sides, but you already made the parts for 4 ponytails, then she has to wear it in 4 because you are the one that's doing it. Sunday school. Reverend Ford should not let Miss Williams teach Sunday school anymore because she treats the big kids like they are little, but they are not. Reverend Ford should tell her that she can only sing in the choir with the old people and not even get to lead a song. Just stand in the back row and sing, and that's it. Be quiet. If your mother says be quiet and you don't, then she will say it again louder. If she says it again, then it will hurt bad and you won't be able to be quiet after that. When Grandmommy combs my hair. When Grandmommy combs my hair, sometimes she puts it in too many ponytails like I am little, but I am not. I like my hair in 2 or 3, but not in 7 or 8 or 9. Sometimes when she puts it in too many ponytails, she gives me a bang in the front like I am big, but a bang does not look cute with 9 ponytails sticking out. But grandmothers have jerry curls, so they don't know that. Dressing alike. If you have a little sister and your mom dress you in the same clothes like you are twins and does your hair the same too, then that is not good because you will not look cute when your aunt take a picture of you because you will have a frown and be mad. Dogs. My dog Fritz died on Saturday, and then I prayed for him when I went to Sunday school the next day. I was very sad and I even cried. I did not want the other kids to think I was a baby, so I told them that I was crying because Jesus died for everybody's sins and my stomach hurt too. I asked Jesus to forgive me for telling a story. He did. Going to church. If you tell your mother that your stomach hurt on Saturday night, then you still have to go to church on Sunday morning, and you still cannot go to sleep in church, even if the old people's choir is not good and the preacher is taking too long. Beer. If you drink beer, then you will throw up a lot and you will have to get a divorce. Then you cannot live with your wife and daughters until you say that you are very, very sorry. Picking flowers. The lady in the yellow house have a sign that says not to pick her flowers. But Tara said that they are not even her flowers because all flowers belong to God. So how can she say don't pick them? Ushering. If you are an usher at your church and you are the tallest and your hair is longer than the other ushers, then you should get to stand in the middle aisle and pass out the fans if you want to. But Brother Harris does not think so, and that is not good. Free lunch. When I am a grown-up, I am going to tell my daughter that when it is summer, she does not have to walk all the way to the park with her little sister to get that nasty bologna sandwich and apple and cracker at the park. She can stay at home and practice her cursive and write a famous story in color and watch cartoons if she wants to. Divorce. If a mom and a dad get a divorce, then that means that the dad have to move out and the mom and the daughters have to make their own grits and eggs. Just because the dad moves out does not mean that he does not love the mom and the girls. He loves them very much, and the mom too, but it just means that he has to live closer to his construction job so he can get to his job on time. Friends. Sometimes people say that they are your friends, but really they are not your friends, because when you have a party, then you invite them to your party, but they do not invite you to theirs, and they talk about you. When I have another party, then Carmen R. cannot come. Cafeteria. The cafeteria is fun to eat at sometimes. Sometimes they have good food, and sometimes they do not. The hamburgers are the best, but not the sloppy joes. They are too messy. I eat lunch fast so I can check out the big red bouncy ball to play Foursquare. Sometimes I play tetherball if the line is not too long or if Pam is not there, because she step on the line and cheat. My Uncle Bubba. My Uncle Bubba is really great. Sometimes he is my favorite uncle. Sometimes John is, sometimes Thurman, sometimes Don. Herman and Jimmy do not care if they are my favorite or not. They are happy all the time anyway. It's hard to pick. Bubba's real name is Robert. A lot of times he is in jail, but he is not bad. Sometimes he takes drugs, but that's all. He does not beat people up or say a lot of bad words or steal things. Police still don't like it when you take drugs, though. He does it anyway, so he goes to jail and writes letters to me. He tells me what books to read and tells me that the truth is something that you have to search for. He says that I will understand that later on when I am big. Bubba is a Muslim. Some grown-ups say that Muslims don't believe in Jesus, but they do too. Bubba is still going to heaven, even though sometimes he goes to jail and is a Muslim. Just because you take drugs sometimes and go to jail do not mean that you can't live forever with God and the rest of us. When I talk to Bubba, he talks to me like I am big and not a little kid. I guess that's how Muslims are supposed to talk to kids. They must have to read a lot too, because he does, and he always wants me to read about people who are black. Some of them are dead that he read about, and some of them are not. It is very important to know where you come from. Otherwise, where will you go in the future? Black people have to take their future in their own hands because they can't depend on the white man for everything. Bubba already searched for that truth. Big sisters. I guess it would be fun to have a big sister. I don't have one, and Tara said that aunties don't count. Z has a big sister that is almost in high school, and she said that boys like girls who wear makeup and shave their eyebrows off and draw some on. But if a big sister have a little sister who does not look real good with shiny red lipstick and cannot draw straight, then she should not tell her little sister to do that. Pictures on the board. Miss Koss thinks that Kenneth is the best drawer in the class. She said that really we are all the same good, but that is a story, because why does she always put his pictures on the big board and only puts mine there sometimes? I told her that Kenneth's lines are crooked sometimes and he needs to work on his circles, but Miss Koss said that I was not nice and I need to sit down somewhere. I am not going to walk home with Kenneth anymore, and if he catch up with me, then I'm going to run because he is slow. Long hair. If I was white and had long hair like Susan B., then I wouldn't always wear it in ponytails. Sometimes I would tell my mother to let me wear it down. I would not be mad when black girls want to comb my hair and make it look better. I would be happy. Susan B thinks that she is cute because she has long hair, but she only has longer hair than the black girls, not the white girls or the Japanese girls either. Susan B is not cute. She has a big nose and she is mean. Miss Moore. Miss Moore's name used to be Miss Williams, but she got married. And when you get married, then you have to have the same last name as your husband or it doesn't count. So Miss Moore likes Sharice the best, and she likes me the fifth best. She took Sharice and Monique and Keisha to the movies, but not me. But if I was big and I was a teacher, then I would take everybody to the movies, or at least 10 kids, and not just 3. Nosy kids. If you drink a lot of beer, then you will have to get a divorce because your wife and daughters cannot be around beer because it is bad. And your oldest daughter will cry a lot when she goes to bed because she will miss you. But she will not tell her friends that you don't live in the house anymore because it is none of their business and they should not be so nosy. Going to the store. If your auntie asks you if you want to go to the store, then you should go because she probably will buy you something. But if you go with your grandmother, then she probably will not buy you something because she think it costs too much even when it is on sale. If you go to the store with your grandfather, then he for sure will not buy you something because he only wants to get cigarettes and that's all. Las Vegas. I don't like to go to Las Vegas with my mother because I don't like germs on my hand. The quarters have a lot of germs on them and my hands get real dirty when I put them in the slots machine. I put in 4 quarters at a time so I can hurry up and finish. It is a lot of smoke in the casinos. There are a lot of old people in there, but not that many kids like me. They say that kids are not supposed to be in there, but nobody ever tell me to get out. Sometimes I sit next to my mother and sometimes I do not because I have my own bucket. Sometimes I stay in the car and write famous stories in my journal while my mom is inside. I have my own snacks and I do not turn the light on in the car in the dark because that is not good. Kiss. If a preacher at your church kiss you and put his tongue in your mouth, then that is not good. You should tell your mother, but tell her not to tell your father because then your father might shoot him with his gun. That will not be good because then all the people at the church will be mad and they will say that it is your fault that the preacher is dead. Plus, your grandmommy and granddaddy will be mad too because now your dad will be in jail forever. And sometimes he will see Bubba and sometimes he won't. But your family will be mad that it is your fault that he cannot live somewhere else and work construction. Sad. Sometimes people can be sad for no reason and they cry, but you do not know what to say if your mom says, "What is wrong with you?" But you don't know. You just be sad. If you ask your sister if she be sad for no reason, then she will not understand because she is little but not a baby. But she still don't know what you're talking about. It is okay if you cry because people cry sometimes. And you might cry because it is a secret that only God understands. When you pray, you should have your eyes closed or it does not count. Jesus will not be mad, but it is better when you are by your bed at night with your hands together. Only tell Jesus and do not tell your teacher that you are sad because she will think that you did something bad, but you did not. You only are sad because of the devil. Skinny. Some people talk about people who are skinny and say that they are a skinny mini, but if you are skinny, then that does not mean that you are bad. You just don't eat a lot of dinner or all of your food at lunchtime. You do not have to eat all of your lunch because you want to check out the ball and go play, and the jump rope too. Skinny is not bad and fat is not bad either, but fat people don't like skinny people because it is bad to be jealous of somebody that is skinny. And it is bad to bag on people and call them a skinny mini. Tara. Tara is my best friend. And my grandmother said that Tara is my boss. She is not the boss of me. She is just my friend. Tara can run fast and she is not scared of stuff. She is not even scared of Tammy, but I am a little bit scared of Tammy because Tammy is mean to me. She tripped me and made me fall when I came out of Miss Koss' class. Miss Koss said, "Did Tammy do that?" And I said no, because Tammy would kick my butt after school. Tammy is fat and mean. People should not be fat and mean. They should not be two things. They should just be one, and they should be nice. Tammy said she was going to kick Tara's butt, but Tara said, so what? She is not scared of Tammy with her fat self. Tammy was scared to fight Tara, so she came up to me and pushed me in the back in front of the other kids. It made my head hurt when Tammy pushed me. I did not cry in front of them. I cried at home in my room. Sometimes I cry for no reason, but sometimes it is because people call me a skinny mini and push me in the back. Tara said that I should fight Tammy back. I told my grandmother that Tammy pushed me, and then I cried at home. My grandmother went to school the next day and told me to tell her who Tammy is. I just said the fat one. My grandmother took me in front of some fat girls and said, "Is this her?" When my grandmother saw Tammy, she said, "Is this the one?" I said she was not the one. I told a story. My grandmother said that Tammy was really the one, but I was scared to tell her. At the store. If you are a grandmother and you ask your granddaughter if she wants to go to the store with you, then you should buy her something. When you get to your station wagon and your granddaughter help you put all the groceries in the back, and then you get in the car, you should not lock the car door and pretend to leave. Your granddaughter will be sad and cry outside. You should let her in the car and not keep laughing and make her cry some more. It is not nice when you get home and tell your grandmother, it is not nice when you get home and your grandmother tell your Aunt Janice that you cried and you are too sensitive. You are not a baby. You just did not want to be left at the store because you don't know the way to walk home. Pictures. If you are an aunt and you take a picture of my mom and dad and my little sister and me too, then you should not say that I be messing up the family picture, because that is not nice. Sometimes people cannot help it if they do not smile in the picture. You just be sad, that's all. Just because everybody else have a smile in the picture and you have a sad face, then that is okay, because you cannot help it. Maybe you should not take the picture of them because I don't want to do that and have a smile. The best day ever. The best day ever was when I went for a long, long drive with my mother, and me and her stayed in a hotel. And she bought me a new journal. We had to drive up to Monterey for her job because she had a meeting. Kids can't go to the meeting. I stayed in a hotel room and watched a movie and wrote a famous story in my journal. I wrote the whole thing in cursive. My mom bought me snacks and I ate all of them, but not the sandwich. A hotel is fun, but not at home, because at home you have to clean up your room all the time and wash dishes and then do the bathroom. Hair. Tanya said that just because my hair was longer than a lot of other black girls, I am still not cute because I am a skinny mini. And my hair is nappy in the back and on the sides and the front. She said my hair is damaged when all the other girls was in the bathroom that day. I was scared to tell her that my hair is not damaged. It is cute. Tanya told Rose and Marta to kick my butt after lunch. Rose hit me hard in the face, but Marta did not. Me and Rose had to go to the office, and Rose said that it was 5 of them that was going to kick my butt because I be thinking that I am cute, but I am not. The lady in the office said that I could go back to my classroom because the other girls are not nice. I did not know that Rose do not like me. I do not like her anymore either, and she is short and cannot run fast, and her cursive is sloppy because she needs to work on her R's. My famous stories. Nobody can see my famous stories because it is a secret. All of the stories are not anybody's business except for mine. Sometimes I write in cursive and sometimes I do not. It is always neat anyway. If you have a journal, then you can tell your secrets, but you should write neat. You should have a secret place to keep your journal, but not under your pillow because somebody will find it there. If you put it on top of the shelf, on the top shelf of your closet, then that is not good because then your mom will say, well, what are you doing with that chair? If she says that, then you should say that you saw a spider and you want to kill it. But don't forget to tell Jesus that you are sorry for telling a story. It is just that you don't want somebody to see your famous stories. That's all. Slumber party. Sometimes on Fridays, I have a slumber party with some of the girls on my cheerleading team. My mom sometimes takes us to the drive-in movies, and it is fun. My dad built a tree house in the backyard, and we play in it. I have a tetherball pole and ball in my backyard, too. If you have a slumber party, then a lot of girls will talk about boys, and they will say, did you ever kiss a boy? But don't tell them that the preacher at your church be kissing you like a mom and a dad kiss, and you are scared to tell. The other girls will think you are nasty, but you are not nasty. It is okay to tell a story about the preacher. Jesus will not be mad. Some short girls can fight. Tammy is tall and fat and mean, and she was mad at Michelle. Michelle is not tall and fat. She is short and skinny. She wears her hair in 4 and 5 ponytails like she is little, but she is not. Tammy said she was going to kick Michelle's butt, but Michelle was not scared. Michelle is Muslim. And she said that Muslims don't get their butt kicked. And she would jump up and sock Tammy in her fat face. I am scared of Tammy, and I am scared of Michelle too. Mother's Day. If you have a wife and 2 daughters, then you should get your wife something for Mother's Day. If you don't, then that is not good. And your wife will be sad and mad, and your daughters too. Your daughters do not want the mom to be sad and cry and say, at least you could wash my car for me. Grandfathers. Sometimes grandfathers smoke cigarettes when they drive the grandmother and the granddaughter to church, even though the grandmothers say, please don't smoke because it is not good for you and people can't breathe with all the windows rolled up. And the smoke make people cough. Even if the grandfathers turn on the air conditioner in the car, then people still smell the smoke. Sometimes grandmothers are the boss, but in the car they are not the boss. They have to wait until they get to church and the grandfathers get out of the car, and then they can be mad and tell the granddaughter that they are not going to buy him any more cigarettes at the store. And then the grandmothers can put their lipstick on and pick the hair out of their chin. Grandmothers. Grandmothers should not tell the granddaughters that their father is going to go to the devil and not live with God and Jesus when he died, just because the dad does not go to church. That is not nice. And it makes the granddaughter real sad. But some grandmothers do not care if the granddaughter is sad. That is not good. That is bad. If a grandmother laughs at a granddaughter when she is sad, the granddaughter will write a story about her in her journal in cursive, and God will not be mad at the granddaughter when she say her prayers and tell. Sitting on the lunch bench. If somebody sits on the lunch bench in the cafeteria between 2 kids, then the big kids should be nice. It is not good if the big kids say that you have cooties and you don't. And then the big girl tell you to scoot over, and then the big boy tell you to scoot over, and then you keep scooting over back and forth, but you do not cry. you cry in the bathroom. Boys. Okay, if a boy give you a necklace, then it means that he like you. And it is okay if you don't want to kiss him at the park after school during the kissing contest. You still don't have to kiss if you don't want to. The boy should not have stole the necklace from his mother. It is not good to steal things from moms. The office lady. Miss W, the office lady, does not like me as much as she likes the Japanese girls. She let Kathy T write the cafeteria rules on the big board with the black marker, but she did not let me. She said that Kathy T has neat writing, but I do too. I always have the best cursive in the whole class, and Kathy T has little cursive, and mine is big. I'm not going to eat lunch with Kathy T anymore because she thinks she is bad. I am only going to hang around people who can run fast and do hard tricks on the monkey bars, not Kathy T. A fight. It was a fight in the girls' bathroom between Michelle and the Samoan girl. People don't like to fight Samoan girls because they always go and get their whole family, and it is always a lot of them. Michelle is not scared of them, though. Michelle is Muslim, and she said the Muslims don't let anybody put their hands on them because if they do, the Muslims will fight back because they do not play. The Samoan girls think they are prettier than the black girls because they have longer hair and they can fight. But just because Michelle wears her hair in 5 ponytails does not mean that her hair is not long and she cannot fight. She can too. And on picture day, she wore her hair down and it was long. Pretty. Some people think that just because I have naps in the back and my ears are a little bit big and I am a skinny mini that I am not pretty, but I am too. Just because other people have a boyfriend and I do not, that does not mean that I am not pretty. I just don't want to have a boyfriend because I do not want to kiss at the park like Lisa. Lisa likes to kiss at the park and win the kissing contest because she can kiss her boyfriend for a long time. One time, she kissed all the way up to 25, but Melvin was counting fast. Big. One day, I'm going to be big. And I'm going to have friends who do not talk behind my back. Because that is not nice or good. All the boys are going to say, I wish she was my girlfriend. And I'm going to say, no, I am somebody else's girlfriend. I am going to have a lot of money. And I'm going to have an upstairs, downstairs house and a swimming pool in the backyard. But none of the kids from our school or church can go swimming. They will be mad, but I will say too bad because you should have been nice to me and let me have cuts in line for the cheddar ball and cafeteria. But you did not, and that is too bad. So, Cherie said I was trying to cheat on her math paper, but I was not. I wanted to see if she had the right answer. So now she will not be able to get in my big car or come to my big house when I'm a famous writer. I will say too bad for you. Maybe you should go to the movies with Miss Moore again. Notes. If you are a kid and your dad tell you to go to the store and get some hoghead cheese and zigzags, then you have to have a note to give to the man. If you give him the note, he will talk to the old lady at the store and she will say, yes, you can give it to her. It's just that you have to have a note to buy hoghead cheese. Coming home. If you have a wife and 2 daughters, then you have to come home at night all the time or it is not good. You cannot skip days. If you don't, then the wife and the oldest daughter will put your clothes in the trash bags and put them on the porch, and the wife will be sad and mad. Getting a spanking even though you didn't do nothing bad. If you are the big sister and you are in the truck with your little sister and your dad is on the porch talking to your grandmother and your little sister turns the key in the truck and then the truck goes and your dad has to run and catch the truck, then you will get a spanking, even though you are not the one that started the truck. It's just that your sister is too little to get a spanking with a belt. And you should have been the one to stop her because you are big and she is not big. She is little. Crying on the couch. If you are crying on the couch in the living room and your grandmommy at your grandmommy and granddaddy's house and your aunts and uncles and cousins are there too, then that is not good. No. Your cousin will tell your mom that you are crying, and your mom will say, get in the room, and then she will tell you not to cry in the living room in front of everybody because you should go in the room and cry by yourself. And you don't even know why you are crying, so wipe those tears off your face before you get something to cry about. Doing the nasty. Sometimes boys try to do the nasty with girls, and they say that they are just playing a game, but it do not be a game because they want to do the nasty with you for real, even if you have all of your clothes on. And when a boy and a girl play house, then the boy always want the girl to pretend that it is nighttime and go to bed, but the girl do not be tired. Moving away. If you have a wife and 2 daughters and you get a divorce, then that means that you will have to get an apartment on the east side and live upstairs. Your wife and 2 daughters can visit you, but if 2 ladies are there already, then that is not good because you don't know those ladies and your mom don't know them either. Getting married. When I am big and I have a husband, then I'm going to tell him not to work construction, because then he cannot have fun with his wife and 2 daughters because he will have to work construction all of the time, even if it is Saturday. And if you work construction, then you will drink beer all the time, and your friends will come over and sit on the porch and sometimes in the garage too, and you will be laughing loud, but you will not go to church with your wife and 2 daughters, and you will not go to fun places either. Just be with your friends and work construction all the time. Hiding stories. If you are writing a famous story at your grandmother's house and then you have to use the bathroom and then get a sandwich and some juice, then you should take the famous story with you because your grandmother will read it and she will say, what do you know about that? And you will say, you don't know nothing about that. And she will laugh at you and you will be mad. And it is not good if you are mad at your grandmother because she will tell your mother. And your mother will take her side. You have to hide all of your famous stories from your grandmother. Granddaddies do not care though. They will not read your famous stories, just grandmothers. Maybe aunts too, but I don't know for sure. But the grandmothers will do it because grandmothers are nosy and they laugh at you. Gamble. If you are a dad and you have a wife and 2 daughters, then gamble is not good. It is bad. If you spend your construction money at the gambling shack, then your wife will be very mad and sad. And your mother will be mad too. And your mother will be mad too. And she will come to the house with your wife and 2 daughters and she will say, what's in that refrigerator? God. When you go to church, then you have to tell God about all of your sins and say that you are sorry. God will forgive you if you mean it in your heart. But if you tell God a story, then that is not good. It is bad because God can see everything, even if it is in the dark. God can even see when the 2 teenager girls make you go in their backyard and get in the tent and there is a teenager boy in the tent and the girls tell you that you have to suck the teenager boy's dick. A dick means pee-pee, but for big boys. Even if you do not want to do that because you are scared, but because it is bad and nasty, but the big girls say they are going to beat you up, and it is not good if a big girl beats you up, and your dad is next door at home, but he cannot hear you cry. If you tell a story to your mom at night about what you did with the girls, then that is not good, but God will say that is okay. You were scared that the big girls were going to beat you up. Plus, you have to tell a story to your mom because if you tell her the truth, then she will be mad and sad and then tell your dad. And your dad will shoot the big girls and the teenager boy and their moms and dads too. And then your dad will go to jail forever and you will never get to visit him. And he will not get to work at his construction job, and it will be all your fault. Being sad is bad. Okay, if you are sad, then you have to pray and ask Jesus to let you be happy, and do not be telling other people about what is in your house, because that is not their business. It is only your mom and dad's business, and yours too, and sometimes not even your sister's, because she is little and she just wants to play with her friends anyway. Sometimes moms yell. Sometimes moms yell because they are mad and sad. Moms have to work at the courthouse all day, and it is hard. People think that moms do not be sad, but they do too. They even cry. Moms do not like you to sit down at home and write famous stories if your room is not clean. Moms have to have a lot of money all the time because kids want to eat at McDonald's and sometimes at Burger King. Taco Bell is too messy. If you go to the barbecue at Carrie's house, then you should only have one hamburger and not two, because meat costs a lot of money. All moms have to save a lot of money, because if they don't pay for the lights in the house, then it will be dark. Kicking other kids' butt because your sister got in a fight. If you have a little sister, then you have to comb her hair for church and for school. And if another kid fights with your sister, then you have to kick their butt, even if you are scared and you do not know how to kick anybody's butt. But you still have to go over there and say, stop it, even if your sister is the one who hit them first. Melvin. The other day, me and Tara was walking home from school, and when we got past Melvin's house, he ran up to us and pulled a real gun on us. He told us to freeze, like they do in the movies. He told us to hold our hands up. But Tara said she is not going to hold her hands up, but I was scared to die, so I put both of my hands up. Melvin had his dad's gun. His dad's gun was the same color and the same size as my dad's gun. Melvin's dad must not have told him that playing with guns is bad and somebody can die like that. Melvin was mad at Tara though, and he did not care if me or Tara died. I can't wait to be bigger. I can't wait to be bigger, and nobody will yell at me, and I will not be sad and mad anymore. When you are bigger, then you are not sad for no reason. You only cry a little bit sometimes. But when you are little, then you cry a lot. And people do not care if you cry because you are too sensitive. When I am bigger, I am going to write famous stories as much as I want to. And I will not have to hide my journals because I will have an upstairs, downstairs house. When I am bigger, then my daughter can write famous stories in color for a long, long time. I will not be mad. I will be happy and glad and smile. When I am bigger, I will not have to kiss somebody if I don't want to. When I am bigger, all of my friends will think I am pretty, and they will be pretty too. All the boys will want me to be their girlfriend, but I will say I don't know yet. When I am bigger, I will write famous stories about the people that was mean to me when I was little. They will be sad, but I will say that is too bad. You should not have been mean to me. I will say sorry to God, and God will say that is okay because they should not have been mean. When I am bigger, then I will not be fat, but I will not be a skinny mini. I will be pretty like Diane Carroll. When I am bigger, then I will beat up anybody that mess with my sister because she is nice and just like to have fun and play with her friends. When I am bigger, then I'm going to see the whole world and not just Long Beach, because Long Beach is not fun, but other places are fun. People in Long Beach laugh at you and yell at you too, even if you didn't do nothing. That is not good. I feel very sad when people yell at me and call me a silly girl. I am not a silly girl. People in Long Beach do not want you to come to their slumber parties sometimes. People in Long Beach talk about you behind your back and in your face too. People in Long Beach say that your family does not have a lot of money and your mom and dad are divorced and your dad does not live with you. People in Long Beach push you and talk about your clothes. It is okay if you are not the prettiest in the whole class or the whole world, because if you write famous stories, then people will not yell at you anymore. They will like you and they will say, will you be my friend? But I will say, I have to think about it. When I am bigger, then I am not going to tell. When I'm bigger than I am, I'm going to tell my father that the preacher at the church kissed me all the time with his tongue in my mouth. And the teenager girls next door made me suck the teenager boy's dick. And I did not want to. And he even peed in my mouth. And that is not good. That is nasty. You pee and boo-boo in the toilet and not in a girl's mouth. My father will shoot them with his gun and go to jail too. But that is okay because he will be old and he will not work construction anymore. And I can come and visit him and read all of my famous stories to him. He will be happy. I will be happy too when I am bigger. I will be happy. I will be happy every day. And I will not yell at kids. I will talk softly to them. I will write a famous story about a girl who lived in Long Beach and people did not tell her that they loved her. They yelled at her and called her a silly girl. And she did not do nothing. She tried to be quiet and good and perfect like Jesus. But they still said that she could not cheer good and was not that pretty either. They said that she thought she was big and bad, but she never thought that. She just wanted to be good. She wanted to be special. She wanted somebody to like her famous stories and not laugh at her. She wanted a boy to hold her hand. She wanted God and Jesus to make her happy. She wanted to sing and dance real good, but she could not. But in my famous story, she will sing and dance better than anybody. And that was Playground Politics. So that's a lot like what my early journals used to look like. My early journals were called My Famous Story, My Famous Stories. And for as long as I can remember writing, as far back, I should say, as I remember writing, I had My Famous Stories. This was only in elementary school, where they called My Famous Stories. When I got to middle school, junior high, when I was growing up, began in the 7th grade. Now it's 6th grade, but when I was growing up, junior high began in the 7th grade. And by the time I was in the 7th grade, I felt like My Famous Stories was for babies. So I did keep a journal, but I did not call it My Famous Stories because that was kind of kids' things. And I kept the journal, but the older I got, the more evasive I was. Like, I didn't tell so many secrets. I better understood how wrong some of the big people were in my life. I better understood that, when the preacher did kiss me in my mouth, and he did that for a long time, truthfully. And I knew, when it first started, I was very young, and I didn't know how to tell. I didn't know what I would say. I think that I just thought it was nasty. I didn't know how wrong it was. So it's in 7th grade, that this motherfucker should not have his motherfucking tongue in your goddamn mouth. But by that time, it was a different, and it didn't happen as often because I'm 7th grade now, but other things happened, yeah, I didn't, so I think my shame about telling when I was like in the 7th grade was that like he had groomed me for so long that I didn't know how to say, because surely the question would come, well, why didn't you tell, like, when did it start, you know? And how do I say, like, I was 5. So the shame was kind of around holding the secret for so long. And so in middle school, I during that time, my journals shifted from, it didn't have a title. It was for sure not My Famous Stories, but my journal shifted to more fantasy, more, like I wanted to have a boyfriend, or I wanted a boy to like me, or I wanted, a boy to think I was pretty. And I was too embarrassed to say that I wanted that. So I would write stories about a girl who wanted a boy to like her. Like, not me, for sure, not me, but it was me. Yeah, it was me. I want to go, we have about maybe, I don't know, maybe 9 minutes. And I want to go into another story. I'm kind of vacillating in my head. Like, do I go start this other series? Because the thing about the other series is that I don't want to only read some of it. I kind of want to read all of it if I'm going to read it. But you know what? Let's do it. It's going to mean that we're going to go a little bit more than an hour, but you know what? Let's do it. And especially since it's kind of connected to My Famous Stories. This is a collection called Him. And this collection called Him is about the preacher. And I wrote it for my healing. I wrote it because there have been I've written many poems and stories about this situation, but I've never, ever, ever called his name or used his name in connection with the situation. I've protected this man my whole life. And it was kind of one of those things, like I would write these stories and I would write these poems and I would put them on Facebook. And if you went to church with me when I was a kid, then you knew that it was him that I was talking about. If you didn't know, then you didn't know, and that was cool too. But I am tired of protecting that, So this is the first time that I have called his name. And this collection, again, is called Him, H-I-M, Him. Children of the Light. I was in the big class in Children of the Light. That was a children's group at St. Mark Baptist Church. I think I was in the 6th or 7th grade at the time. I remember I was in class 5 of Children of the Light. Reverend Hunter always kissed me with his tongue in my mouth, always. It started when I was very young, when I extended my cheek so that he couldn't kiss me in the mouth. He would firmly turn my face to his with his index finger and thumb on my chin. I was afraid of him, and I revered him at the same time. I don't remember exactly what happened that day. I don't know why I was so upset. He may have tried to kiss me before the class. Maybe I refused his tongue and tried to give him my cheek. I don't remember exactly, but I was upset. Children of the Light used to meet every other Saturday morning at the church. It began with all of the classes gathering in the sanctuary for devotion. We sang songs, prayed, the leaders gave announcements, then we were dismissed to our separate classes. I don't remember who my teacher was, but I remember that day during class, I was still upset. I didn't answer questions. I didn't volunteer comments. I didn't participate at all. After class, we reconvened in the sanctuary for the lesson review. Now, one person from each class had to stand and report on what she or he learned in class that day. I was usually the person who reported for class 5. Not that day, though. That day, I didn't feel like it. The reports were given by all the other classes. Then it was time for class 5. No one stood up. Reverend Hunter he sat a few rows behind me. I could feel him looking at me. I still didn't stand up. Then one of the leaders said, "Well, I guess we aren't going to hear from class 5 today." And she was about to go on with other announcements. Then Reverend Hunter's voice boomed from behind me. "Class number 5 will report." I still didn't stand up. I think someone else did from my class, but I didn't stand. Then he yelled again, "Everyone from class 5 will report." I stood, waited my turn, and mumbled the shortest, weakest report I could get away with. There was an Instagram video that went viral years ago. It featured a young black boy who, instead of delivering his Easter or Christmas speech, said, "I hate this church." I cried when I saw that video for the first time. I cried because I wish I was as brave as that boy. You want to report, Reverend Hunter? Here you go. I've told this story before. I've told other stories about Reverend Hunter before, but I've never written or publicly mentioned his name in connection to any of these stories. I have protected him my whole life, but the stories won't leave my body, so maybe now they will. Night service. St. Mark was a popular church back in the day when I was growing up. Reverend Ford was the pastor, and he was a very well-respected, liked, and honorable man. Night service was usually poorly attended. I was usually there, though. Whenever church doors were open, I was likely there. That Sunday night, the senior choir was in the choir stand. I think Reverend Ford was preaching. Reverend Hunter sat with the other preachers in the pulpit. I was in the audience. There were maybe 20, 25 other people in the congregation. I got up as the choir sang, and I went to the bathroom. I was only in the bathroom for as long as it took to pee and wash my hands. When I came out, Reverend Hunter was drinking water from the fountain near the bathroom. "I want to talk to you, Robbie." I don't know why, but he always called me Robbie. I don't know why. He sat on the table and I sat on the chair. I was nervous because I didn't know what this could be about. And he sounded serious, but then he always sounded serious. And I was always nervous in his presence. In the moment of silence that passed, I could hear the service going on in the sanctuary up front. "Robbie, do you know what oral sex is?" he asked me. I was in the 7th grade at that point, junior high school. Of course I knew what oral sex was. Plus, I was 4 years old when the girls next door from me made me go into the tent in their backyard and suck a 17-year-old boy's dick. But I knew that a good Christian girl like me wasn't supposed to know what oral sex was. "No," I sheepishly responded. Then Reverend Hunter explained to me in detail that oral sex was when a woman gets on her knees and sucks on a man's penis. Now, as an adult, I know that he was getting off by telling me that and watching how uncomfortable I was. He ended the explanation with his finger pointed in my face. "Now, if a man ever asks you to do that, then you say no, because that's a sin." I guess his little life lesson wrap-up at the end was supposed to make his verbal porn session with me okay. A girl's got to learn about oral sex somehow, right? Well, we stayed in that back room for a long time. Throughout the entire service, in fact, when the congregation was dismissed, the first 2 people through the back door were Mrs. Hunter and my grandmother, both wondering where we were during the whole service. I wanted someone to think it was strange and accept no excuse as to why a grown man walked out of service just after a young girl did. and neither of them returned. And then they were just sitting alone in a room like ducks. No one questioned anything. I think Mrs. Hunter said something like, "Oh, I didn't know where you were." But that was that. I had been groomed by this man for years. I was scared to say something that night. During the ride home, I was glad that my grandmother didn't ask what we were talking about. What would I even say? He was teaching me about oral sex. The baby, the image. When Keisha had Demetrius, I was in high school. Keisha is only about 5 or 6 years older than I, so we were kind of peers. During service, I was holding Demetrius. When church was over, I went out the front door and talked to my friends. Later, I found out that Keisha was in the parking lot in the back. I still had the baby, so I walked through the church to return Demetrius to his mother. And as I made my way through the practically empty church, Reverend Hunter met me and blocked my path. He seemed upset. He always seemed upset. "What are you doing with that baby, Robbie?" I didn't know what I had done wrong, but apparently something. This is Demetrius, Keisha's baby. I'm taking him to her." He didn't move. He stayed in my path. "But what are you doing with the baby? It doesn't look good, you walking around with a baby, a girl your age. You can take the baby to Keisha, but you won't be walking around here with the baby no more." I didn't respond. Or, I don't know, maybe I said something like, "Okay," but I didn't tell him to go fuck himself and that I would carry 10 babies through the church if I wanted to. The game away. In the 11th grade, I was a cheerleader for Long Beach Polytechnic High School. One Friday night, we had an away game somewhere far. I don't know. I don't recall where. There weren't many people in the stands for Poly. We were the visiting team. Reverend Hunter was there, though, in the front row. Why was he there? He wasn't a Poly alum. He wasn't from, nor did he live in Long Beach. He was just there in the front row, and there I was on the field in my short cheerleading skirt, shaking and twirling. There aren't words about how uncomfortable I was. There are no words, none. Then when I saw him the following Sunday, he said nothing, like it didn't happen, like it was our secret. I remember going home and saying, "Oh, Reverend Hunter was at the game." I wanted that to be strange. I wanted someone, anyone, to say, "Wait, why?" There were many weird moments. There were way too many kisses. There should never have been a time when his tongue was in my mouth. Never. Can you imagine how I feel as a grown woman when I look back on my first kiss? It wasn't with a cute boy in third period or prom night or during the weekend at Poly North, the 10th grade sleepaway camp. No, it was from Reverend Hunter, a man who was older than my father. Bible study. Reverend Hunter taught the Sunday night Bible class I used to attend with my grandmother. One Sunday, well, this series lasted for more than just one Sunday, but he gave lessons to the women in the church on how to be a good wife. And the women showed up in droves with pens and notebooks. I don't remember many of the lessons from the class, but I remember he fussed about the revealing way that women dressed, with "this all exposed," he said while he rubbed his chest with a disgusted look on his face. Not the same look he had the night he taught me about oral sex. "And they wonder why there is so much rape going on," he added. I remember he said that God had already sent the cure to cancer to the world a long time ago, but some woman had aborted the scientist. I remember that meals should be prepared on time. I remember that sex should be received when the husband was ready. I think the most notable lesson was when he said, "Ladies, you don't divorce your husband just because he cheated on you." I remember that. Choir rehearsal. The Angels Choir rehearsed on Tuesday nights at the church. Sherry Anderson was our leader, pianist, and director. One Tuesday night, for whatever reason, Reverend Hunter was there. We were in the middle of rehearsal, and he walked up to the choir stand and stopped Mrs. Anderson from playing the piano because he had something to say to us. Then he started to fuss. I told you, he always fussed. You kids need to sit your big heads down somewhere. And on that note, Mark Clark, who sat in the back row of the choir stand, raised his hand and said, "Hey, you got a big head too, cuz." We fell the fuck out. All of us cracked up, not just because the joke was funny, but because it was a break. It was the break we needed from the tension of his speech. Reverend Hunter stood there, fuming. And then he yelled, "Mark, you bring yourself down here right now. I'm going to make an example out of you." When Mark was next to Reverend Hunter, he whooshed his belt from his pants and beat Mark like I have never seen anyone get beaten. I was terrified. I decided in that moment that no way was that ever going to happen to me. I'll take the tongue kisses for 500, Alex. The station wagon. The youth choir sang on the second Sunday of each month. I was in the youth choir. Sometimes after morning service, we were invited to sing at another church. Well, one Sunday, we piled into Brother Renty's burgundy station wagon to go to another church. I sat in the middle of the front seat. Shortly after starting the car, Brother Renty realized that he forgot something in the church and stopped the car to run inside to get it. It was after church and people were leaving the parking lot. Reverend and Mrs. Hunter were parked near Brother Renty. 1580 K-Day was a big deal in Southern California. It was our first rap station. We weren't saying hip-hop back then. Well, K-Day DJs played Eazy-E, Too Short, all the old school West Coast rappers before anyone. It was always popping. Early Sunday mornings, though, they played gospel music. Most old church-going black folks listened to K-Day on Sunday mornings, including Brother Renty. Well, when he got out of the car to run into the church, the station was still on K-Day, and it was rap time. Well, I don't remember what song came on, but it had everyone in the car hype, including me. Now remember, Reverend Hunter was parked close by. He saw the excited youth in Brother Renty's car, but more importantly, he saw me. He had his neck stretched all the way to the middle of the windshield, and a stern look on his face that burned my face with his stare. And I straightened up immediately. No one else noticed. No one else cared. I immediately put my hands to my sides, and I looked straight ahead. I don't know if I even breathed. Him knowing that he could control me like that with just a look was enough for him. He and his wife drove off. It was probably a plus to him that his wife witnessed the whole thing. Daycare confession. When Urias was 2 or 3 years old, I lived in Long Beach. Miss Debbie owned a daycare in Long Beach. I knew her from St. Mark. She was about my mother's age. She and I weren't friends. We weren't particularly close. She was really just a woman I had known my whole life, and I felt my son would be safe in her care. Well, my normal pickup routine was to come in, sign Urias out, speak to Miss Debbie, and then leave. I don't have a clue as to why, but for some reason, one Friday was different. I came in and saw Urias playing. I spoke to Miss Debbie, and then we began talking. I sat on her couch with her, and we talked about the old days at St. Mark. I said more than I ever thought I would say to her or anyone from that church. Even though she was no longer a member, it shocked me that I let her in that closely. She told me things too. Then I said to her, you know, when I was growing up, Reverend Hunter used to ... She positioned herself so that her entire body faced me, then said, I know. We all knew. I froze. I didn't know how to respond to that. I had so many questions. I didn't ask her any of them. What did she mean, we all knew? Who did she mean by we? What did she know? What did they all know? Did they know about the money he used to give me? Did they know the gifts began with candy when I was a young girl? Did they know about the jewelry box he made Mrs. Hunter present to me? Did they know about the time Mrs. Hunter threw shade at me in front of her friends? I walked past her and her group, and she reached her hand up to my head and was bothered for some reason by my nappy hair. She repeated over and over that I needed to come down to her shop so she could do something with all that on my head. Exactly what did all who know? Daddy. My father didn't go to church. He said he hated the way those deacons and preachers be kissing all over the women. My mother, sister, and I would just laugh at him when he said things like that. What did my dad know? He was a sinner, after all. But he was also my father. And I loved him dearly. And he was also a whole lot of bit crazy. I knew this to be true. A lot of fathers think they are doing big and great things when they tell their daughters that if anybody ever puts their hands on them, daughters, then to tell them, fathers, and they would kill them, perpetrators. Well, my dad said things like that all the time. And I knew, in fact, that my father would kill for me. If I came home and told my dad that Reverend Hunter had been tongue-kissing me for years, please believe me when I tell you that surely my father would have shown up at the church with his gun cocked, loaded, and pointed. Think Samuel L. Jackson in A Time to Kill. That was my father. So, as a child, there was me choosing between my father killing a preacher and going to jail for the rest of his life, or me taking a tongue kiss in the mouth. They were both horrible choices, but one, I got to keep my father. Gone. Then one day, with no formal announcement, Reverend Hunter was just gone. He didn't belong to St. Mark anymore. I was an adult when I learned that he had been sent away. Back then, though, he was just gone. He didn't go far, though. I found out that he went to New Hope. That was a church also in Long Beach. Then I found out that one day he had just gone from there too. I heard rumors about this and that, but nothing I knew for sure. He left there and started a church in Oklahoma. I didn't see him again for many years. In fact, when I saw him again, I had ureas. Someone at St. Mark had died, and he was back in town for the funeral. By this time, Bible classes were on Tuesday nights. My mother used to attend. And during this time, Urias was a small baby, and I lived in Long Beach with my mother and stepfather. One Tuesday, my mother asked me if I wanted to go to Bible class with her. I went. I sat in the back in case Urias started to cry or make noise. I was holding him when Reverend Hunter walked in. I wasn't Robin anymore. I certainly wasn't his Robbie. I was Jaha Zainabu. I wasn't scared of him anymore. This wasn't Keisha's baby, Demetrius, I was holding. This was my baby, whose father I was not married to, and what? I wanted to confront him. I stared at him with my whole neck, like he had stared at me that Sunday when I was in Brother Renty's station wagon. He didn't look my way, not directly, but I knew he could see me. I wasn't the Bible-thumping Christian girl he left all those years ago. I wasn't the one he kissed with his tongue. I wasn't the one he could give candy and money. He could no longer get his dutiful wife to hand me jewelry boxes. My black girl long hair had been all shaved off. I donned a ring in my nose, black lipstick on my lips. I wasn't someone with whom he wanted confrontation. He never looked my way. He left when Bible class was over. And back then, that was enough for me. I needed him to see me. Looking back, I'm sorry I didn't say anything. Hindsight is 20/20 though, right? Like in the beginning, I didn't know what to say. I was a little girl. At first, a tongue in my mouth was just nasty, but it wasn't as nasty as a teenager's penis in my mouth, which was my experience at only 4 years old. I didn't tell that either until I was in my 30s. 30s. I just held the stories inside. I didn't tell my parents or teachers, not my aunts or uncles, or even my journals. I just kept them inside where I thought they were hidden. They weren't hidden. None of my secrets were. They were there all over my face. And none of them died inside of me. All of them grew. I always hoped there weren't other girls with Reverend Hunter, but I think there were. It was a process for me to forgive myself. And I know that I wasn't the one wrong, but I felt like I was. And I felt dirty because of it, but I am not dirty. I am wonderful. I am healing. I am beautiful. I am soaring. I am a survivor. I'm great. And that's the end of him. It's funny, speaking of the end of him. So I found out last night that Reverend Hunter died. And it is a process, and it is it is a very surreal process, processing that. It's not a death that I'm sorry about. I'm not crying about this. But it is a thing that I don't know, the word grieve is not the word, but this is a person who has been in my life for my life. And I have always in the back of my head felt like maybe he would reach out to me, like maybe he would hear I wrote some poem, or maybe he would hear I alluded to him in some way, and like he would call me, or he would like send me a message on Facebook or some email, or I don't know. I just always, he was just coming, like always in my peripheral, like that you're gonna get in trouble is just like hanging over me somehow. And today is the first day. Well, he died a month ago, but I didn't find out until last night. But for me, today is the first day that I know that I am not on a planet with this dude. This dude that I have protected forever. And I just happened to have, I didn't just happen because nothing just happens, but I wrote this story not knowing that he had died. I just knew that it was time to release it. And it was time to release it, like he died, and I had the, I don't know, deep desire to create the story. And he's gone now. And it's weird. Like I'm free. And even after I wrote him, this collection, even after I wrote it, I felt like, you know what? I wrote it and I didn't die. I wrote it, and writing it and telling the truth and releasing the truth into the world did not kill me. Write your stories. Write those hard stories. And I'm not saying that you have to write them and tell the story on YouTube. You don't have to do that, but write the story at least one time for you. Write the real story. Tell the real names for you. Say what happened for you. Like, let it out. See it in black and white little letters. See that that story does not own you, whatever your story is. Hope that you're well, my friends. I do. I said in another story time that I don't believe in writer's block, and I don't. I think that there are things we don't choose to write about, but that's different from writer's block. Like, I think that when we sit down to write and we say, what am I going to write about? Some things shows up. And you sit down, you go, what am I going to write about? And then that abortion story shows up and you're like, no, not that. Or you sit down to write and you say, what am I going to write about? And then your him shows up and you go, oh, not that. Like we keep swiping left, but shit shows up. That is not the same as writer's block. So there are things that we don't choose to write about, but shit will show up when you ask. Be well, my friends. Take care of yourselves. Join me tomorrow for Storytime 40.